If you're a doubles player and you'd like to win more points, then you've clicked on exactly the right video. In this special lesson, I'm going to break down the best strategy for doubles players, whether you're on the baseline or whether you're at the net. And we're going to keep it super simple. I'm just simply going to separate it between baseline and net and phase of play. What do I mean by phase of play? Well, either when you're playing tennis, you're in a defensive situation. That means your opponents have the upper hand, you are in trouble, they're totally in the driver's seat. Or you're in a neutral phase of play. That means neither side has the upper hand. It could kind of tip either way. The scales are balanced. And then finally, offensive means that you are in control. You are in the driver's seat and you're the one attacking and your opponents are heading for the hills and they're struggling. They're in a tough spot. So by matching together your position with your phase of play, it's simply a matter of picking a target that makes sense. So let's dive right in. We're going to start off by focusing on the net player. We'll begin by talking about being in a defensive phase of play as the net player. There's been a lot of attempts over the years to dramatically simplify doubles strategy with phrases like short to short or deep to deep, meaning if you're in a deep position, you should aim for the deep player. If you're in a short position, you should aim for the short player, the other net player. And unfortunately, it's just not that simple. Case in point, when you are this player, you're at the net, and your opponents hit you a shot that goes down low, below the height of the net, and you're having to hit up, the last place you want to hit is to the offensive player on the other side of the court. Whoever's closest to the net is in more of a position of power. They have more of an ability to hit down at you, to attack, take time away from you, and just flat out finish the point. So anytime you're in trouble, that means you're stretched out, you're off balance, maybe you're getting jammed up, the ball is really low, or maybe it's even really high and you're struggling just to get a racket on the ball. In any of those scenarios, you want to avoid the attacking player on the other side of the court at all costs. So in this scenario, when you're in trouble and at the net, you want to make sure to pick out the safest, easiest, highest percentage target possible. And usually that's going to be towards the person who's on the baseline on the other side. Your mindset, your mentality here should simply be stay in the point, don't blow it, keep the ball in play, hope things reset, and then live to fight another day. And hopefully on the next shot, you'll have an opportunity to be more offensive and attack. In a neutral situation when you're at the net, this might mean the ball is like around waist height or so. It's not sitting up high and easy, but it's also not super tough and down off your shoestrings. It's somewhere in between. It's your choice. You get to call an audible and kind of freelance here a little bit. And here's the variables at play. How much of a weapon are your volleys, and how much of a weapon are the volleys of the other person closest to you, the person who's likely at the net. And if you have two people at the net, which person is closest to you, to the net? If your volleys are fantastic and their volleys are not, then you should absolutely target the ball in their direction. Ideally, try to keep it low to them, force them to hit up, and give you something even easier on the next shot that you can improve your position, squeeze over and try to put the ball away. On the other hand, if your volleys are a liability, you don't have very good feel, you don't have very good control, then you should actively be avoiding the person who's closest to you. Basically treat it like you're in a defensive situation and try to reset the point. And so in this particular scenario, you'd want to hopefully put it at the feet of the person who's a little further away. That gives you time to reset, improve your position, and then maybe do a little bit of shake and bake, like a fake or maybe even a poach if you place it really well at their feet. And again, try to upgrade your shot to something easier on the next one, and then you would try to put the ball away and actually be offensive. So neutral situation, you want to be very mindful. What are my strengths? What are the strengths of my opponent? If you can put yourself in the driver's seat, you can go for it. But if you're like, I don't know, then just play it safe. If this video has already been helpful, do me a favor and click the like button. It really helps more tennis players see videos like this, which they need to get better at tennis, so thank you so much for doing that. Let's talk about the final phase of play now in the net position, and that's an offensive opportunity. That's when you're close to the net, The ball is above net height, and so you have the ability to directly hit at your opponent's side of the court. That's the most powerful position you can be in doubles. And when that happens, one of the biggest mistakes I see players make is they take that easy, sitting, offensive opportunity and they hit it towards the defensive player on the other side, the person who has more time, who has more space, who can let the ball bounce first and then try to hit it back. And what do? They end up just hitting a lob over the head of the net player and resetting the points. Don't do that. When you have an opportunity, you should be hitting towards the side of whoever is closest to you because they have less time. You can hit it directly towards them. They don't have the same amount of space to deal with your shot. So target the person who's closest. That doesn't mean you're literally trying to hit them, but anywhere towards their feet, in between them and their partner, or an angle off the court would be outstanding. So look for something that finishes the point in an authoritative way and just flat out gives you and your team the win. Anything but back towards the defensive player. Now that you know what to do anytime you're in a net position, let's shift gears and talk about what to do when you're in a baseline position. From back behind the baseline, you're twice as far away from the net, which means your opponents have twice as long to respond to your shot. Plus, because you're so far away, you have to lift the ball up over the top of the net and then have it fall into your opponent's side over on the other side of the court. All of these things add up to mean that you're in a very inherently defensive position. That doesn't mean you can't hit a winning shot from back here or even that you can't attack from back here. But keep in mind, most tennis points end with somebody making a mistake. So if you are in the defensive position away from the net and you're constantly trying to smash winners between the two players or down the alley or some kind of big sharp angle or anything else from back behind the baseline, the odds are probably not in your favor. You're probably going to end up beating yourself more often than what you win, which means anytime you're in a defensive phase of play or a neutral phase of play, so either you're in trouble, you're scrambling, like off the court, reaching, stretching, or your opponent just hit a serve like into your body, or neutral, you're not hurting, but you're also not like stepping inside the court with an easy attackable ball. If you're behind the baseline, you should just be playing it safe and resetting the point and trying to set up your partner who's in an attacking position. So in defense or neutral, your job, first and foremost, is avoid this player. Do not hit an easy shot to the other attacking player. That's the worst thing you can do in this scenario. The best thing you can do is hit it over them or around them, which then gives your partner up at the net the opportunity to try to put away the next shot. So you should be seeing your role in this scenario as a setup person, not as a finisher, but as an enabler for your partner up at the net. So cross courts, rally ball type shots should be your bread and butter here. If you're playing against an opponent, net player who's really, really offensive and aggressive, then knowing how to lob well is super important as well. If you have two players at the net and you're defensive or neutral, that's the toughest position to be in doubles. And so here you want to try to hit something, hopefully that dips down at the feet. And if one player is a little further away, you should try hard to try to get it to that person because it gives you and your partner a little bit more time and opportunity to reset and get ready for the next shot. If you'd like to upgrade more parts of your doubles game, make sure to grab free access to EssentialTennisAcademy.com, where we've got tons and tons of coaching modules covering every part of the game, including pinpoint volleys, which shows you how to put your volleys on a dime, and serve variety success, shows you how to hit flat and slice and topspin serves. Combine those together, your doubles game will absolutely improve. So get free access now by going to EssentialTennisAcademy.com. When you're the baseline player, there will be opportunities to attack. There will be offensive scenarios, and that might mean that you have like a big weapon, maybe your forehand, you hit really strongly, maybe a level better than what the rest of your game is, for example. And so when you get that opportunity, you have the chance to attack. Or it could be a weak second serve or any other shot where you have the opportunity to take several steps inside the baseline and then hit the ball. In that scenario, it's your choice. It's basically fielder's choice. Now you have the option of going towards that opposing net player, but you need to make sure that your ability to attack outbalances their position on the court. In other words, if you just hit an okay shot to the person close to the net, you're setting up your partner to get creamed on the very next ball. So if you're going to make the decision to go down the line and go towards the net player, you better make it good. You have to make it count. You just can't hit any old shot. So you'd better swing confidently and you'd better swing aggressively. Or the other alternative is if you know that this person at the net has really poor volleys, then that could be another reason to actually take it towards them. If you don't end up going there, you can still really put yourself and your partner in a great position by hitting strong and aggressively down the middle or strong and aggressively to the corner, even a sharp angle off the court. Anything that stresses this baseline player is another great option, but just know that the net player is now also a possibility to put you and your partner in the driver's seat in this point. If things get crazy, you're scrambling around and you're not quite even sure if you're like, I don't know if I'm a baseline player or a net player, I'm kind of in between, and I don't know if this is offense, neutral, or defense. When in doubt, just hit the ball over the middle of the net. That's it. An old school saying for doubles is down the middle solves the riddle. And it doesn't always work 100% of the time, but generally speaking, this is going to be your safest play, especially if you're hitting at an angle, cross court, over the middle part of the net. The net is lowest. It gives you a nice margin for error inside the court when you aim towards the corner on the other side, and hopefully it avoids that net player. It doesn't work out all the time, but that should kind of be your emergency shot. That plus maybe a lob. If you have those two as kind of utility shots to just kind of keep you alive in the point until something more obvious presents itself, totally nothing wrong with that. Remember what I said a little bit earlier in the video, most points end with a mistake. Most points end with an error of some kind. So if your default, like it is for many players, is to just try to smash it down the alley anytime you're like flustered and, oh, what do? I don't know. Oh, I better go for a winner. You're going to end up beating yourself way more often than taking points from your opponents. So hopefully these rules of thumb have been helpful. Please know that doubles is a massive, there's so many different variations and formations and communication and switching and poaching, and there's so much more that I wasn't able to cover in today's video. So please do me a favor, whatever I didn't talk about that you'd like to hear more about, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make more doubles strategy coaching just like this. But this is going to get you off to a really strong start. So if you've enjoyed it and you appreciate that, do me a favor and click the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.